Hey kids, I'm a punk and a godfather. I'm a rotten roller, I'm Vince. And I'm here playing authentic today with my Gibson guitars. And I want to set the record straight about duct tape. Recently my YouTube feed has become imbued with videos from YouTubers all over about guitar player channels that are talking about duct tape on headstocks. And honestly, I've never seen it. I'm curious. I know I'm old. I listen to classic rock. I don't get out much. I go see bands in the clubs. That's where I like to hang out. I can't even afford to go to shows anymore or buy any more Gibsons at this stage of the game. But I'll tell you where I saw duct tape as a child and why. The old Midnight Special with Wolfman Jack. Used to watch that in Don Kirshner's rock concert when I was a kid, too young to go to shows. And that's where we saw all our bands before MTV. Stayed up late and watched them on there. And this was a common sight. You know what this is. Gold face, gold knobs, white piping around the grill. Take the tape off of it. It's a Marshall. Jim Marshall, interesting man, businessman. He was a jazz drummer and a singer and an electrical engineer by daytime. And much like Les Paul, he needed to be heard above his drums and started tinkering and built an amplifier business. And one of his early clients, I alluded to earlier with my intro, The Who. They've been spreading hearing loss for a long time. I think they all have it. Tinnitus. One of the loudest bands of all time. Great band, by the way. And he was building amps for them to order. Pete needed to be louder than John, and then John said he needed to be louder, and Jim kept up with their demands. And then Pete turned into a punk, and he is the original punk, by the way. And started that autoerotic, self-destructive art form, whatever you want to call it, started blowing him up. And Jim eventually had to put his foot down and would not give him any free gear. So what did they do? They went off to Vox. And Vox knew a little bit about artist endorsements and how lucrative they could be. After all, they amplified the Beatles, whether you could hear them or not at the Hollywood Bowl. Jim was on another planet. He was working to make the sonic capabilities of amplifiers better than what Vox was doing, and I believe he succeeded, especially in the rock community. You weren't anybody unless you had a Marshall. And even to this day, I play a lot of Fender amps, but for gigs, Marshalls seem to do a better job. You can be heard. And that's just my opinion. And all this stuff about gear is highly opinionated anyway. You can't really play a guitar on YouTube or hear it on our crummy little audio gear and what have you. You got to go play it in person. Hopefully you know somebody or live in a city where there's a shop where you can actually try out other brands. And you can see for yourself what's good and what's not. And nothing against the cheaper guitars either. You play what you can. It's more about what's in the heart and the mind and your fingers than it is about any gear. And another YouTuber I watch all the time, Jimmy Bruno, one of the last jazz greats who's on YouTube, said something interesting that the last thing he looks at when he sees a guitar player is their equipment. And he's right. Just because you can't afford a Gibson doesn't mean they're going to give you a free one, YouTubers. They don't have to. They've built a good brand. They are iconic on their own laurels. And if they're going to give away free guitars, they're going to give it to some up-and-coming player who could do their brand some more good than a YouTuber can. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, as it were. Come to me for the straight poop. If you've got some actual visual examples of duct tape on headstocks, share them with me. I'm curious, because I missed the boat on that one. Like, subscribe, share, hates, all that stuff. And rock on. I'll see you in the funny papers. So long.